Hello tribe, welcome back to the mat. For today's tutorial, we are talking about pranayama, specifically Ujjayi Pranayama. If you have no idea what pranayama is, or if you'd like to know a little bit more, get into the meaning, what exactly it is and why we practice it, I will link to a pranayama guide in the description below that you can check out to learn a little bit more about pranayama in general. But basically, pranayama is commonly known as breath work. So it's the breathing techniques that we utilize as part of our yoga practice. So yoga is not just the physical postures that we practice here on the mat. It is also the breathing techniques, it's the meditation techniques, it's a lot of things. So today we'll be looking at Ujjayi Pranayama, which is the victorious breath. Ujjayi means one who is victorious. So as we practice today, I invite you to channel what that means, what it means to feel victorious. I encourage you to sit up on a block, a bolster, a blanket, anything that is comfortable for you that allows you to elevate the hips a little bit above the knees. We will be sitting for a little bit today, so it will be more comfortable for you if you have something to sit up on, just to elevate the hips a little bit. Make sure that you like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more stuff like this, and comment below if you've got any questions about Ujjayi or about pranayama in general. Alrighty, you won't necessarily need a yoga mat for this practice, but if you would like your mat to sit on, go ahead and unroll that, and I will meet you in a tall, comfortable seat. So go ahead and come into any seat that is comfortable. So I'm sitting in Sukhasana, where I have one heel stacked in front of the other. This is a beautiful option. If this doesn't feel comfortable on your hips or on your knees, you can also come into a hero's pose, and I'll quickly show you what that looks like. You can sort of come up to kneel and then bring a block in between your feet and sit down on the block. You can also sit like this for this practice, any meditation practice. Anytime you're cued into a seat, you can always come into a seat like this. If it is more comfortable for you to sit with the legs outstretched so that they're long and straight in front of you, feel free to sit that way. If you would like to bend one knee in and keep one knee up, whatever works for you for the legs. So the legs, really in any configuration, that feels okay. As long as you can sit with a nice long spine. So you want the breath to be able to move freely through the body, so you want to make sure that you're able to sit up nice and tall. It's part of the reason that I recommend elevating the hips, because it will help to prevent any kind of rolling back that might happen if sitting flat on the floor, if the hips are a little bit tight. So go ahead and come into your comfortable seat. And for the moment, close down the eyes and just start to come into your breath, to notice the breath, observe your breath. So noticing where in the body you feel the breath the most. This might be in the nostrils. You might feel it along the back of your throat. You might feel it the most in the chest or in the belly as they expand and contract. Take a few moments here to just notice your natural, spontaneous breath. Notice if it's a smooth breath or if there's any raggedness anywhere, if it feels like it's sort of catching in any spots. take note of that as well. Notice if it's a shallower or a deeper breath. There's no right or wrong here. Just becoming aware of where your breath is naturally before we start to work with it. And then go ahead and gently open the eyes. And we'll start to come into Ujjayi Pranayama. Ujjayi is one of the pranayama practices that is often practiced along with movement. So for all pranayama practices, we can practice them on their own. They're a great way to come into meditation, many of them. They kind of help to start calming the mind and getting you into that meditative space. Ujjayi is often practiced along with movement. So if you practice vinyasa, ashtanga, or jivamukti styles, also will often use Ujjayi breath along with the movement. It's really the only pranayama that is used along with the asanas. For the most part, pranayama is practiced on its own, either before or after your asana practice. So for Ujjayi Pranayama, for our victorious breath, you want to feel a slight constriction in the back of the throat. What does that mean? Well, if you imagine trying to fog up a mirror, this is a common way that Ujjayi is taught. So actually go ahead and take your hand, place it in front of your face, and we're going to pretend we're going to fog up a mirror. So take a big inhale, and then you're going to exhale, H-A sound. Again, inhale. And then open the mouth, H-A out. So tune into that sensation you feel in the back of the throat as you exhale in this manner. And let's do that one more time. Go ahead and take an inhale. Open the mouth. So that sensation in the back of the throat, that is that constriction that you're looking for. Another way to think about it is sort of like when you're whispering. So if you come into a whisper, that sensation in the back of the throat as you whisper, it's similar. So tune into that sensation and also the sound. So it's a very audible breath. So let's practice that a few times with the mouth open. So coming into that sensation in the back of the throat, both on the inhale and on the exhale. So we just practice that on the exhale. Bring that into the inhale as well. That is the sensation, that is the sound. Now we're going to practice that with the lips sealed. So the breath comes in and out through the nose, keeping that little, that slight constriction in the back of the throat. So sealing the lips. So you often hear this sound described as a sort of Darth Vader breath for any Star Wars fans out there. It's also described as an ocean sounding breath, so kind of like the waves of the ocean, which is how I like to think about it. Because as you inhale and then as you exhale, it kind of emulates the sound of waves coming in and then going back out. So you can tune into that sound, whichever analogy works for you. You can imagine matching either Darth Vader or the ocean as you inhale and exhale in your Ujjayi breath. The last element that I'll talk about is trying to find evenness throughout your inhale and your exhale. So what I mean by that is oftentimes with Ujjayi breath, the beginning of the inhale is really powerful, or the beginning of the exhale is really powerful, and then it sort of peters out towards the end. See if you can try and maintain evenness throughout the inhale and the exhale. So if we're looking at a powerful inhale or exhale at the beginning, it might sound something like, where it's very pronounced at the beginning of the inhale or the beginning of the exhale and then sort of fades. Trying to keep even inhale throughout the inhale and then even exhale throughout the exhale. So making it a bit more yeah? All right, so start to tap into that, start to come into that breath, into your Ujjayi breath, and we'll practice just for a few moments, trying to stay with your breath, stay with the tone, with the sound of your breath. The beautiful thing about Ujjayi, I think, is that it gives voice to your breath. The breath, we kind of take it for granted. It does its thing in the background and we hardly ever notice it. Ujjayi really makes you notice that breath. I think it's part of the reason we practice it with asana. It's one way to really keep you present as you move through your practice. It keeps you with the breath. It takes some time to kind of maintain that Ujjayi throughout. It can be easy to sort of forget about it. And then, that's the practice. You come back to it when you forget. Keep coming back. So make sure you're sitting nice and tall in your comfortable seat of choice, and we'll close down the eyes and start to come into back into your natural breath. So for these first few moments, simply notice your natural breath. Let's go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. Allowing your breath to be natural here for a few moments, simply noticing. And now begin to turn on your Ujjayi breath, finding that slight constriction, creating your audible inhales and exhales. Gently begin to release the Ujjayi, allowing your breath to return to its natural state. And observe the quality of the mind after practicing Ujjayi for a few moments. I notice that my mind feels calmer. Thoughts aren't running through it quite as quickly. It's a state of mind that is more prepared for meditation. And when you feel ready, begin to open the eyes gently. Thank you so much for joining me for this Ujjayi Pranayama tutorial. If you have any questions about Ujjayi or about Pranayama, please feel free to ask them down in the comments below. I hope this has been useful for you and that you now have a better idea of what to do when you are cued into Ujjayi Breath. And I hope you start to make this a part of your daily practice. Thanks again for joining me here on the mat. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.